Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Jim here, and today I was just working on a buddy of mine's guitar, so I thought I'd kind of fill you in on it, what's going on, and how I tackle certain problems. Now the guitar I'm going to be working on today is a Fender American Vintage 52 Telecaster reissue from the mid-2000s. So I've actually known this guitar for quite a while, maybe about like 5 or 6 years, and a buddy of mine I used to work with, he kind of casually played guitar. He had this when he learned I played guitar. He had me restring it for him a while back. I originally took it apart then to try and figure out what was going on because there was issues with the neck pickup. I didn't have all the tools and know-how that I had now back then. Turns out the issues never really changed, and when I got it back, he was ready to finally commit and buy a new set of pickups for it. So I said I would give it a shot and go from there. Now the problem was the neck pickup was actually dead. I'm not sure what happened. It was probably just like shorted out or something like that. But there was no life in this pickup whatsoever. Even when I'm doing the small tone examples, I played in the middle position because the neck by itself was just atrocious. It was completely unusable. So we put in a set of Seymour Duncan quarter pounders. They are installed right now. So the reason he wanted me to put in these specific Seymour Duncan pickups was because he wanted a little bit of a fuller sound to the Telecaster, not so much of the twang, and a little bit more of the meat to it. Now, this isn't just about the pickups. This is just a few things that I go along the way that I've seen with a lot of guitars, and a lot of people don't exactly do the right things, and they don't know that they're doing something wrong until it's a little too late. In this case, one of the things that went wrong is the frets. And when I say the frets, I mean this guitar for a long period of time, even when not being played, lived in a non-humidity controlled environment. So what happened was the frets really corroded. I'm not talking like you can take Gorgamite or something like that that's notoriously strong for wiping off that kind of corrosion. Like this was in there, and it still is. It's actually underneath a lot of the frets at this point. And I told him, look, it's not anything that's going to affect the way the guitar plays as of now, but eventually if you did want to get rid of that, because it does look kind of dirty, like, and it doesn't look really like clean altogether. It's just kind of a lot of scratch marks and stuff like that that you commonly find in maple. It's a lot more noticeable than rosewood. But I said, you know, if it really bothers you down the road, I mean, you're going to have to refret the guitar. Me personally, I'm not a big refret person. I've never refretted an instrument, and I've had a few vintage ones, and the frets were really small. It doesn't really bother me that much, but I could see how some people it would. So one thing I like to do when cleaning frets, which was the first tactic I used, was a little bit of polish, a little bit of vigor, and a Q-tip actually. And you go really in, and you dig on each one of them. And you try really hard to get out all that green gunk and stuff like that. Because you don't want to just take a file and go right at the actual frets themselves, especially if you don't have something to go over to protect the frets. You're going to be damaging the fretboard itself, and that is a whole hell of a lot harder to fix. Interesting thing about this guitar, if I didn't know the person that owned it, I would assume that this guitar was pretty heavily gigged. I mean, it's hard, I don't know if you're going to see, this guitar has a lot of wear on it. A lot of things, a lot of scratches. It's got a lot of character. I like that. A lot of people like things pristine. I personally don't care, and on certain instruments like a Telecaster, I think it adds, you know, a lot of character to the guitar to have those kind of like battle scars to them. So they don't bother me. will say, after trying both of the pickups in this guitar, there's a real big difference between the quarter pounders and the ones that come stock in this. And I'm primarily going to talk about the bridge pickup because, like I said, the neck was shot. So overall, the guitar sounds a lot fuller now. It's not so much bigger because you can kind of like get that big sound by manipulating amp settings or sim settings like on the Helix and stuff like that. You can kind of get around that, but like that warmth and that fullness is definitely a lot more present in these pickups. But that comes at a cost. A cost in this particular scenario he was okay with, which was getting rid of some of that high end or the classic Telecaster twang that these are so well known for. Now the guitar still can twang a bit, but it is nowhere near a traditional Telecaster pickup, and that's okay. It kind of gives it its own unique flavor. But I think he's gonna be really excited about the neck pickup. I don't think he's really ever used the neck pickup. I think he bought this guitar at a Guitar Center many years ago, and it had a lot of problems already with it. He bought it new. No, it wasn't. It was not new. But that being said, he never really got to know the neck pickup of a Telecaster that worked. So I think this is going to be a really eye-opening experience for him, and even for his writing, because he will be able to use a new tool in his arsenal, so to speak. Not much else to say. I love the 52 reissues. I always thought that these were baseball bat necks when all I was playing was Fenders, because I primarily played 60 style necks. But as I've grown as a guitar player and I've played much bigger necks, I started with that Dove. I had a few Gibson Les Pauls that weren't just slim tapers. And now my favorite neck out of all my guitars is on the McCarty, which is the pattern vintage. A little bit more beef to it. It's a lot more like this guy. I like it a lot. You know, going back to it now after a few years of not playing one of these with that they call it a baseball bat. This isn't that big. I mean, I think of a baseball bat, I think of an old, like a SG that is just gigantic. I can barely wrap my hand around the thing. No, thank you. Not a big fan of those. No, they're just timeless. Just timeless, really cool instrument. It's got its own vibe to it. People will say they're plain. I think it's just fine the way it is. And while I have this guitar, tomorrow I'm actually going to shoot it out against my Partscaster. I'm really interested to see how it fares. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you kind of dig what I'm doing. It really means a lot, and I'm starting to really kind of figure out what's going on YouTube and what's working and what isn't. Leave a like, comment if there's any videos you'd like me to, go on, or any specific kind of music you want me to go over in some of these demos. I'm always kind of open for ideas. So until then, guys, thanks a lot. See you next time.